What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Paul's Harry.
I was playing Hogwarts Legacy, mate.
My sister pre-ordered that for me. I just don't know when it's coming.
It doesn't come out until Switch, I think, until like summertime or something like that. I think summertime, and I don't think it comes out until April or May for the older consoles. It's only out for like next gen and PC right now.
Well, that's bloody hell.
It is bloody hell, but like playing the game is like fucking massive, so it makes sense because I don't even know how it would run on like a Switch right now. Like with how it looks. The game, it's huge, you know what I mean? Like they're obviously going to have to change things in order to make it run on the Switch.
That's not the only thing that's huge. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into a makeshift episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB, it's Dylan coming at you to start this episode off. Christian will join me later on in the show if you're watching on YouTube, which should be. You'll see the rundown.
Yes,
Christian will be joining us for Poker Face episode 2. Dylan and I are going to go into The Last of Us episode 5. Christian also gave me his score, so we'll have all three of our scores for this episode. And then our news and notes, because Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania comes out this week. We're going to keep it simple because Dylan and I running on a little bit of a tight schedule. As you can see, again, if you're watching on YouTube, I am not in Underground Studios. I am at a high school because if you're a longtime listener of this show, you know I am the photographer / social media manager for Buena Regional High School, and we are a week away from opening our 2023 musical. So I'm,
well, congrats to that.
As the kids say, making it work.
Work.
Shout out Bad Girl Riri. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow Christian on Twitter at TheWiz_PHI. Follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. And you can follow me on Instagram at KBIZZLE11. I've been posting a little bit more consistently on there. Shout out to Instagram with the share feature. Greatest thing ever. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Leave a 5-star rating and review. And Dylan, what should they be doing in the reviews? Say the line.
Let me come back to the camera. I was trying to get a light on me, folks, but I could not find one. Oh well. The line is the same line I've been saying forever. It's across any of the platforms you are listening and or watching, whether it be YouTube, etc. You are to leave in the reviews or the comments what Kyle, Christian, and I are to watch next. It can be a movie, it can be a show, it can be any of the services. For example, they're doing Poker Face. I don't have access to that, but they're still doing it, and I'll eventually watch it and catch up. So the show goes on. So let us know. One of us, all of us, two of us will watch it and cover it. So
100%. I've been getting recommended a ton, including from the Parental Units, that movie You People that came out on Netflix. Heard a lot of good things about that from a number of people. So that might be something we add to the list in the coming weeks. But leave your recommendations in the podcast reviews. And also, shout out to us. We were on the US TV review chart this past week. Number 163 on the charts. Shout out to us. Look at us.
You love to see it. Hopefully, if you're listening, you can help us get a couple spots down.
Keep us chugging along. you know? It's cool to be on the U.S. charts, too. Obviously, it's fun when we're on different countries like we were for that stretch of time. But when we're on the U.S. TV review charts, it means a lot to us. So keep them coming. We really appreciate the support. And make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes, shorts, clips, interviews, live streams. Dylan, I also found out we've totally been fumbling the bag about when New York Comic-Con is, thinking that it's in the summer.
It's close by, isn't it?
We were bamboozled. No, it's in October. So we have time. We have time.
Let's go. Let's do this.
October 12th to the 15th, I think. I was looking at that today just to kind of get an idea, but I was like, oh, this is beautiful. So, yeah, New York Comic-Con. We'll be there one or more of the days. But you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel so we can make that happen. YouTube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. And make sure you guys get your merch. PHI Apparel Company, the best merch in the game. Coming up this week, I'm going to be ordering Streamer Season hoodie because I've waited far too long to be getting my Streamer Season merch. That hoodie's fire. I show it to everybody, and they're like, yo, that's one of the dopest hoodies I've ever seen. You can get your hands on one as well if you go to phiapparel.co. We want to see you in your Streamer Season merch when you're going to the movie theater, watching your favorite shows and movies from home, all that good stuff. phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off. That's how they know you're coming from us, and it's the most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing at Underground Sports Philadelphia. So go get your merch, and when you get it, tag us on Instagram, tweet at us. We want to see you with your merch and where you're rocking it from. So go get your merch, phiapparel.co. Use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your order. Dylan, let's get into The Last of Us Episode 5. It's brought to you by our friends over at Dubby Energy. Guys, Dubby's going to war on big energy. And I do have to give major props, Dylan, because I did order the one available flavor that they have because they are on pre-orders right now because Dubby is working on getting in retail stores.
Good for Dubby.
And they are sending out a ton to different retail stores. So there's a lot of the flavors pretty much are on pre-order lists that should be restocked within the next month or so. But if you go and pre-order it now, you'll be first in line to get everything that you're trying to get. But I accidentally typed in the wrong code when I was going to check out. I forgot a letter on one of the codes, and I was like, man, like it was a whole thing. So I was DMing with Dubby on the Twitter machine, and they took care of me big time. So I want to thank the Dubby customer support and the Dubby social team for helping me out there. We have the white peach and mango flavor coming to the studio, so I'm very excited to try that. But guys,
Dom try it live. It definitely works.
Dom tried it live. He loved it. I've been drinking it pretty consistently, and it is so delicious. It's getting me through these long nights that I've had, with rehearsals for the musical, with podcasting. And Dubby is clean. There's no calories, no sugar, no maltodextrin fillers, no artificial coloring. It's all pure, clean energy from coffee fruit, and it's got that neurofactor in there to help perform brain cognitiveness and performance by up to 143%.
Love that.
Dubby's the best. They're the best in the game. You guys can go to dubby.gg. The starter packs are fully in stock, so if you want to give it a try, the best way is with the starter pack. You get a shaker and 2 packet of flavors. Dubby.gg and use code UNDERGROUND. You get 10% off your order from our friends over at Dubby. Go to war on big energy with us and get yourself some Dubby. But Dylan, The Last of Us Episode 5 was a doozy of an episode. It did come out early on HBO Max for the people that watch it on HBO Max. It came out last Friday due to the big game. I didn't get a chance to watch until today because we're very focused on the big game. But your overall thoughts as our Last of Us video game playing expert as well. How did you feel like this episode lined up in terms of TV and video game?
Well, they ripped your heart out, just like they did in the video game. That's my biggest takeaway. If you haven't watched it yet, I'll give you a second to run, skedaddle. All right. So the boys die essentially the same exact way in the game as they did in the show. They changed a couple of things. The biggest takeaway is why I'm talking about it is they made was the younger kid named Sam or the Henry?
The older one was Henry.
Younger
And
kid named Sam, I
then-
believe.
Yeah.
Saying it right? Yeah, in the game, Sam's closer to Ellie's age. They de-aged him like assholes on the show, but I think that really strikes home like the innocent kid factor, and also he wasn't deaf in the video game. So two good changes that I think really made the character like unique and unlike the video game counterpart. But man, I've been trying to tell you guys that this show's going to be sad. I mean, obviously, you and Christian know it, but if you're listening, if you're watching with us, like, let's just, expect depressing things from here on out. I know it sucks, but it might be a common trend on and off with the show.
I think, now granted, everybody knows if you are a listener of this show, I've not watched the original Game of Thrones run through, but I did watch House of the Dragon this summer. Go listen to those episodes too. They were a blast. I think this show so far has had more unexpected to the non-video game player audience, more like out of nowhere deaths, where like everybody tells you when you watch Game of Thrones and like House of the Dragon, don't get too attached to characters because they're going to knock them out. I think this show is taking it to another level.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you want to meet these sweet, adorable, like, brother vibe? Yeah, no, we're taking that out on one episode. We're giving you this story and we're taking it away.
I do have to say, the actor who played Henry, we're going to not be going full-blown, frame by frame breakdown on this one just because I don't have the tools in front of me where I'm located. But the actor who played Henry, I want to see him in more stuff.
I want to see him, and I want to see the actor who played Sam in more stuff because the young kid who played Sam is actually deaf in real life. And I was looking at a lot of the people on the set and the production, like Bella Ramsey, the director, some of the screenwriters, etc. The actor who played Henry, they all learned ASL. I mean, obviously some probably learned more than others, but I think it's very heartwarming, and that makes me feel better about how depressing the episode was. That they all came together to support him, which is cool. But like, he was great too because he's not literally talking at all. He's using only facial expressions and body gestures, like and positions. And to be that young, I think they both of them killed it. Like they made me really believe that they were siblings.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the actor Lamar Johnson is who plays Henry. Just looking at his credits and everything that he has.
Mm-hmm.
He was in that Your Honor show with Bryan Cranston in 2020. So there's something that we'll have to take a look and see how that matches up. But The Last of Us is his newest project so far, from what I can see. But I really like the way that his character was cast and everything. I thought he did a phenomenal job. Dude, the how did you feel when Homegirl, who was made just for the show, kind of got...
She was annoying. I mean,
she sucked.
She didn't really scare me. I think you were on the same page as me. She didn't really strike me as like scary in the first episode, like the prior episode. But then they explained it more, like how she became into power, and it actually made a lot of sense. Like the character itself, like the brother died, she inherited, kind of thing. That makes sense.
And me by saying she sucked, it was like it's one of those things where Dylan and I both tend to say this. Her character was like drove you crazy. The actor was great at what they were portraying.
Yeah, the actress did good because she made me visibly and Kyle annoyed with her. But like, it's still, her character is annoying because, like, inherently you can make the assumption that not everyone there was bad. Like, they were people that overthrew an unjust governing faction. So like, I'm sure they were just tired of that. So like, yeah, they shouldn't have tried shooting Joel and stuff. So but my point is like, her actions, as we see in the end, you don't see it directly, but I'm going to make the assumption that because she was so hell-bent on catching Henry that she took most of her soldiers and left just the people of that city. So when that giant horde of zombies is munching their way through town, let's just say Kansas City.
Munching my way through town, eating fast.
Let's just say I hope they get to Patrick Mahomes when they're going through there because... Kansas City is not infected free anymore. That shit's dead.
I did see a very funny tweet because the Chiefs Super Bowl parade was on Wednesday, and I saw somebody quote tweet the picture of like the crowd that was there, and it said, "Post-apocalyptic Kansas City in The Last of Us has more people in it than this parade."
Oh my god, that's amazing.
That was
That's
great.
incredible. But no, I think her character is annoying because she got everyone killed.
Yeah. And kind of just like led them to death, and that was kind of built up from the last episode when she was like, no, leave it here, like we gotta go find Henry. It's like, bro, you're setting everybody up for failure. I think this episode was filled with tons of like this is from a viewer standpoint, like tons of like tension and like anxiousness from everything that was going on, that added more to like felt like you were playing the video game along with it. I don't know if you felt the same way from that aspect of like you felt like you were back playing the game with like just the amount of like tension and like the anxiety that was running through you as everything was transpiring when they're shooting at them, when they're trying to agree to work with Joel and Ellie. It's like, oh my god, like what the fuck is going on? When Joel's up in the higher window area and everything, and the old man who was shooting at them with horrendous aim.
Dude, that was
like,
crazy too.
And then you like hear the shot, it goes to Ellie, and you don't know who got shot. Like that was intense.
I'll give Joel credit. That was the nicer side of him. He didn't seem like he wanted to murk the old man. The old man was stubborn, or maybe he just didn't want to be on that planet anymore. Either way, can't blame him. So it's interesting to just see. It's a good point you made, like all the suspension. The episode itself is interesting too, because it essentially, for a good portion of it, it gives you the backstory of the two boys, but then it also, like, backstory of like why they, I guess backstory, but like what they were doing leading up to what happened, and then they tie into Joel, and then essentially there's like a moment of like happiness, I guess, in the tension when they find the underground tunnel or like school, whatever you want to call it, and they just kind of relax. And then you learn that Henry is a collaborator. Like, well, you further learn more why he collaborated, and it makes sense. Granted, he did do a very bad thing. Literally gave up the leader of the Piece de Resistance. And you understand why Homegirl is so angry. And you understand, like, I guess both sides, like why she's so driven, because, it's her brother, and then why he's being literally hunted through the streets like this is a bit, like a spy movie almost, because he's like just evading these patrol cars of like wannabe soldiers, and it ultimately ends with her failure as a leadership, like you said, and getting everyone killed, and then it ends unfortunately with both the boys dying. The video game has a little more dialogue when that happens, but either way, that's still a very hard scene to watch, because I like to take it as instinctively he wants to help Ellie, which is why he kills his brother. But then he realizes he kills his brother, and then he kills himself, which is terribly sad. And he's like talking to himself, in my opinion, both in the show and the video game, like talking out loud, asking himself, why did he do that? So that was not an easy scene for probably anybody to stomach.
It's like the Stephen A. Smith meme. How do you do that?
Yeah, how do you do that? And then it hurts seeing Ellie so sad too.
Yeah. Because that was kind of like the first, outside of Joel, like, and Tess earlier in the season, like this was her first like human to human interaction with somebody and like forming a bond in a relationship with someone. And like she says it in the episode too, like, can we just stay here? There's so much to do here. Like you can. She's still a kid. You have to remember. She's a kid.
And they were very much kids themselves. Well, I guess Henry's technically like a young adult, and I'm not sure how old he's supposed to be, but he doesn't look that old. But Sam's very much a child. He's younger than Ellie in this version, so I think she like took on a pseudo role of like a sibling almost. Very like she got very attached very quickly, which hurts. But in terms of like what happened in the episode, there's not much to describe, which works with how Kyle is out in the field right now, essentially with limited tech. But like I said, it's just, I mean, Kyle, you can add or miss anything. It's just literally summing up how the boys came to be, how they found Joel. They have an escape plan. They find that cool underground little school, which that was not peaceful for me either, because there's like that dark tunnel they kept panning on. I'm sure you thought that too, and I was like, okay, well, a zombie's gonna come out of here. Clearly, I guess not.
I was
And
I was
then
waiting for Grogu and Luke Skywalker because school.
uh, throwback, and then they escape, and then Henry keeps getting cocky, and I'm like, well, this is the universal way of saying you're dying, or screwing things up, and that happened. And then Kathleen let all of her guys, including that cool guy with the cool beard, R.I.P. The bloater comes out. That the big boy zombie. I told you, boss zombie.
Yeah, I was gonna say
how'd you feel about that?
we got the big boys, and it seemed like we got a couple like different looking, like smaller zombie looking creatures too. I mean that scene, because I was watching it today as we record this on Thursday. That scene when they all like just explode from under the ground. I was like, oh, what? I audibly said, oh, what the fuck? And then you see Big Boy, and you're waiting for the Jaws music to kind of hit, because that's the type of vibe he gives off. It's like this big menacing creature, and he's getting shot by homeboy with the great beard. Shout out Bang Bang Beard Gang. And he's just like, it's just like doing nothing. I'm like, oh my god. And then pulls like a Suicide Squad. Wanda in Multiverse of Madness just fucking ripping his head off, and I was like, oh my god. Like, it was like gruesome, gory, but that's the kind of stuff that like these big HBO shows are not afraid to shy away from, and that's what I think all three of us are like, cool, like push the boundaries, like make it uncomfortable for this type of show. And I think they did a phenomenal job with that. And then
I think you need it, right? Like with HBO shows, like think about some of the HBO shows we talked about, like House of Dragons. Imagine if there wasn't any violence in that show; it'd be whack. This show,
it would actually be called Dragon Tales at that point.
Yeah, but like I haven't watched.
I wish.
But like Chernobyl HBO series, that's literally a show about one of the worst disasters in human history. Like these subjects, whether they're based off history or a video game or a book, they need the violence. Like, it sounds weird saying that, but I mean, sometimes sure, do they get carried away? Yes. But other times I think it's necessary because it keeps you in that state of like, holy crap, no characters safe, or like it gives you that sense of like realism. Because like we're watching a zombie, like any zombie movie really has violence, right? Anyway, like whether it's a movie or a show. So it's like, imagine watching a zombie film and like a character gets swarmed by zombies. Like, yeah, you don't have to show the guy get eaten, but if you show like part of his limbs getting like, not like, you don't have to go too detailed, but like when you show part of it, it really sets in the fear of like, holy shit, this guy's getting devoured. If you just saw him get surrounded and pan away, it's like, well, are you doing that because he didn't die? Question mark. Or did your budget like not go all the way up? They just, you know what I mean? So just like, yeah, some things are needed, and I think the bloater ripping the guy. Well, first he like Hawk smashed the guy to the ground. He's like, ugh! And then he ripped the dude's head off. But I think that's needed because it shows you how strong they are, like you said, and it shows you the bloater doesn't even care about infecting you. The bloater just woke up and chose violence. It just wants to Hawk smash people, bro. It's like, I'm mad. I'm angry.
Literally. And then you had like those little Scrappy Doo looking ones that were just like slashing away at people. That was kind of foreshadowing to what we saw from Lil Homie with the superhero mask, Sam, later on in the episode when he's like, will you stay awake with me? And then Ellie falls asleep, and I'm like, oh, homegirl, what did you do? And then he's just staring out the window and then just attacks. And I was like, oh, no, not young homie.
We probably need to get Ellie a health science book. I'm not sure she understands how blood infusions work. It was adorable, but it was also like, I was like sad. I was like, oh, girl, like that's not gonna work.
It was like The Hangover when they're like blood brothers.
Yeah, pretty much. But then part of me was like, wait a second. Even though you're immune, you probably shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Touching blood with open wound.
And then we see the inevitability that Buddy starts attacking, and then Henry pulls the trigger and doesn't realize like in the moment what he had done. But man, that was a tough scene to kind of just like take in. Just because it is a kid, like that's tough. And then obviously, the circumstances of what had happened, he ends up pulling the trigger on himself, and that was a tough final, scene there in terms of just like viewership and like just taking all in what had just transpired when you just met these characters too, and like the way that they cast them and the way that like the script was written for them, from the video game to the adapting on the TV show, like those are two characters that I think you do a poll, Family Feud style, I'd say like 85 out of 100 people would say, yeah, I want to see more of those two guys.
Yeah, it gave you that vibe too. I mean, but right before shit hit the fan, Joel and his, as Ellie put it, his asshole voice, his stubbornness, he finally kind of gets through to Henry, and he basically says, "Hey, you can come along," and that shows character growth. But that shows like he trusts and accepts him, and he wants the company too. I'm sure, obviously, it helps traveling. And then we got our hearts literally ripped open again. So, and
Yeah.
we're gonna meet Tommy next week though, which is cool, or meet him again rather.
And Big Boy was creepy. Add it to the list of creepy ass, humanoid monsters we've seen.
And he doesn't sprint. He doesn't walk slow either. Like he's walking at a decent
kind of like
pace.
the Hulk. He's like fast Hulk.
Which is kind of intimidating because sure,
it's a fast waddle.
Sure, you could jog or sprint away, but the fact that he is surrounded by other ones that sprint, so they may distract you or get you caught. I just laughed because of that scene. The one thing I wanted to add, I was thinking about if you and I were in that situation, and then it pans when they first come out. It shows you all the cars and the soldiers, and there's one Jeep, and there's two guys in the back. I was like, that's when Kyle and I would have looked at each other and been like, got back in the Jeep, went
backing up, backing up.
Goodbye, people.
But yeah, overall, I think this episode was awesome. It did such a good job of, pushing the story along. You meet a big bad, even more so.
Everything you want, right? It had every emotion.
Yeah, it delivered on so many levels. The emotion, the action, the suspense, and the anxiety, like we mentioned. I really enjoyed it. And this is we're on the tail end of coming down the pyramid now with episode 5. I think there's 9 episodes this season, or 10 episodes. So coming down that pyramid now, I think this is a perfect way to start the second half of this season. So Dylan, with that being said, your grade for episode 5 of The Last of Us will be.
I'm hard. This is hard because I'm trying to think of a thing I don't like about it, and I think it's honestly almost as perfect as the other one that we all swooned about. So I'm gonna have to go 10 out of 10 again, like I did for the other one, just because this one may not have been the most. Well, I can't even say that because it was pretty story driven. It showed them hiding in an attic, and there's a lot of emotion. There's action. There's everything you wanted. There's a lot going on, and in a good way though. So
yeah, Christian gave me his score. He gave it a 9.5 out of 10, and I think I'm gonna go and split the difference between you both, and give it a 9.7. I thought this episode was phenomenally done, across the board. So you add those 3 up, it's a 29.2 divided by 3. That's a 9.73. So a 9.7 is the score for episode 5 of The Last of Us. And as we continue along this journey, Christian's preseason take of this being one of the best shows ever continues to be correct, to say the least. So episode 5 of The Last of Us, well done to everybody involved. And
love it.
Episode 6 is probably going to be even more of a doozy. But sit tight. We are going to kick it to myself and Christian to talk about Poker Face episode 2. And then
Not
Dylan
the song.
and Poker face. No, just kidding. And then we will be right back with a tweak on the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes, with it being Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania week. We're going to dive into that and a couple Marvel things here, since it's been a while since we've had some Marvel content here on the show. But sit tight. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody, we are back, and obviously you see a little screen switch. We got a lot going on in the StreamerSZN universe, so we're doing some separate recordings and spliced together. We're breaking the fourth wall. We're going full Deadpool on you right now, but that is nonetheless, we're here. It's KB, it's Christian. We're here for Poker Face episode 2, and very excited to dive into this after we recapped episode 1 last week. This week, The Night Shift, directed by Ryan Johnson, written by Alice Jew, and this breakdown of Poker Face episode 2 is brought to you by our friends over at Bino Board. They are the next big tabletop game for your man cave, your she shed, your tailgates. I'm telling you guys, when you break out the Bino Board, it gets the conversations going. They're going to be part of our live tailgate series of podcasts that we have during baseball season this year, so very excited for that. And you guys, it's paper football meets foosball. You got Bino. They've got better turf than what Super Bowl 57 had as well on their boards. So you guys can go to BinoBoard.com. Ironically enough, they are based in Phoenix, Arizona. Bino, they got the boards, they got accessories, so you can customize your boards. They've got customizable boards to get custom turf onto your Bino board of choice. And they've got merch, apparel, all that good stuff. And when you go to BinoBoard.com, make sure you use code BINOUSP. That's BINHOUSP. And you get 10% off any and all orders from our friends over at Bino. Christian Poker Face episode 2. Kicking back with Natasha Leone once again. The little write-up synopsis here is near Albuquerque. Charlie befriends laconic trucker Marge, who is wrongfully accused of murder after security camera footage shows Marge removing a corpse from her trailer. Overall thoughts before we get into the breakdown of episode 2 as we move along in this series.
This was a great second episode because... am I hearing an echo, Kyle?
I don't hear one.
Okay, whatever. Whatever. I think this was just a great second episode to bridge what we got in the first episode to start to build out stuff Charlie's going to need to know, specifically from her conversation with the truck driver, because I've watched more than 2 episodes going forward through the rest of the series. And it was a little more toned down, I think, than the first one.
Yeah, the tone was definitely like a little bit more lax. The action wasn't all there per se, like it was in episode 1. But yeah, exactly, not a bad thing at all. It's not like, in your face, like full blown, John Wick-esque, just full blown action scenes. But it was more of the mystery portion of the murder mystery.
It was much more Columbo.
Yes. So The Night Shift is the title of this episode. 62-minute runtime, which seems to be the course. You can correct me if I'm wrong, since you've been moving further.
I'm going to correct you.
Well. Fair enough.
It specifically, the most recent episode from last week was kind of short, which was strange because when my mom and I first we were like, "That's it? Okay, sure." But every other episode has been.
So there it is. Guest appearances in this episode are Hong Chow, Megan
Oscar-nominated Hong Chow,
Colton Ryan, John Ratzenberger, Brandon Michael Hall, Chelsea Frey, and Benjamin Bratt.
And lest we forget, Subway.
Can't forget Subway. We love a good product placement. As I don't know why there we go. So the plot of this episode, if you haven't seen it, this is your warning. This is a
spoiler warning, kids.
This is a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and 3, 2, 1. So in New Mexico, Damien, played by Brandon Michael Hall, is a Marine Corps veteran who now works at a no free ads Subway. He often visits Sarah, played by Megan Surrey, a convenience store clerk who he has a crush on, to buy a lottery ticket every single day. And as part of their routine, Sarah lends Damien a state quarter from her collection to scratch the ticket. A man named Jed, played by Colton Ryan, is also interested in Sarah, although his attitude makes her uncomfortable. His attitude makes me uncomfortable.
Creep.
Big creep vibes. At night, Damien visits Jed to urge him to slow down on his behavior, which seems to disturb Jed, and Damien suddenly realizes that he has finally won $25,000 in the lottery, which prompts Jed to throw him off his shop's roof. Normal behavior, no big deal. He then finishes killing Damien with a blow to the head, who slashes Jed in the calf before dying. That was pretty cool. It was like, oh, he gone. Then it's like, oh, hands moving. Yank. I thought he was going to tear his Achilles.
Psych.
That's the wrong number. After taking the lottery ticket, he disposes of the body by hiding it in a parked truck nearby. He returns to a shop where he sees a trucker, Marge, played by Hong Chow, discover the body at her truck and dump it by the dumpster outside the shop. He calls the police on Marge in order to deflect suspicion. One day prior, while driving, Natasha Lyonne, a.k.a. Charlie, is forced to leave her Plymouth Barracuda at an auto shop. The mechanic, Abe, played by John Ratzenberger, informs her that he can repair it, but it will cost $400, to which she only has $5 in her wallet, and she doesn't have those funds at the moment. He allows her to keep the Plymouth at the shop under the care of his nephew, Jed, and after buying a sandwich from Damien, she stops at a restroom where she meets Marge, and Marge treats her gunshot wound with super glue and advises her on how to go off the grid, telling her she must forego her past life. With no money and nowhere to stay, Charlie is forced to sleep outdoors on a picnic table, greeted by a buzzard, which is one of that would be my 13th reason. There's just simply, I would faint and pass away. I hate birds. For people at home who don't know me, birds are one of my biggest fears. So if I saw that,
seagulls,
done. It's a wrap.
I would love to see you watch the birds then.
No.
Because
Never.
you would have a mental breakdown.
Yeah, I would. Within the first 2 minutes, I'd be like, nope, can't do it. Nope, done. So then the next day, Charlie returns to the shop and discovers the crime scene, which culminated with Marge's arrest. Jed goes to the convenience store where Sarah works and buys a lottery ticket, pretending to have won the lottery with Damien's ticket. Charlie retrieves $460 from the ATM and starts a timer on her watch, theorizing that it will take approximately 4 hours for Cliff to trace the ATM transaction. She gets her car fixed and prepares to leave. However, she decides to stay after hearing that Marge supposedly bludgeoned Damien, despite carrying a gun. She reviews footage of the convenience store's cameras and also questions Sarah. Charlie believes Sarah when she says Damien never won the lottery, but suspects Jed of lying when he says the same. At Subway, Charlie finds a beer bottle cap in Damien's uniform, and she reviews the shop's security footage, noting that there's a time gap in the footage during which the camera angle changed and some nearby objects were moved, including the tarp on top of the car. She then climbs onto the rooftop where she finds multiple bottle caps from bottles of Shiner Bock, no free ads, matching the one found in Damien's uniform, also discovering the Hawaii quarter that Sarah lent him. Jed shows up after having his advances rejected by Sarah, and Charlie confronts him over Damien's visit to the rooftop, to which Jed claims Damien visited him to tell him to stay away from Sarah. Checking the scratch-off, she and Sarah briefly retrieve Jed's ticket, and Charlie notes that the serial number on the winning ticket is several numbers behind that of the discarded ticket bought immediately before Jed claimed to have bought the winner, revealing that the winning ticket was actually purchased sometime before. Charlie confronts Jed, accusing him of murder and murdering Damien. Jed tells her to go to the police, as they will probably dismiss the claim without any vital evidence. He is also aware of her identity and threatens to inform the police, as she is wanted for the events in Laughlin that we saw in episode 1. And Charlie reluctantly leaves as her timer beeps. However, when she hears about a hidden camera show on the radio, she visits a diner to ask about a trucker with a dash cam that filmed the events, and she manages to identify the trucker and instructs the patrons to contact him and report it to the police. That fucking pickleback. Just as Cliff, Benjamin Bratt's character, arrives at the convenience store. When he asks Sarah about Charlie, Sarah misleads him into thinking that Charlie was heading to Los Angeles after noticing that Cliff is carrying a gun. Abe briefly confronts Jed, pointing out that the brakes on Charlie's car were sabotaged, but that he fixed them. Abe implies that he knows what Jed has done and as night falls, Jed burns the lottery ticket on his rooftop while police cruisers arrive at the shop. That was episode 2 of Poker Face in a nutshell. I thought it was really well done. Like, it was, like we mentioned at the top, kind of like that come down from the loaded action that we got in episode 1. But like you said as well, it was more Columbo-esque, and it gave a lot of like it felt like pieces of a Knives Out movie too, with obviously Rian Johnson, but it felt more Knives Out-y than episode 1.
Yeah, and it has a lot of great camera work that's done throughout, specifically like when he's dragging the body and stuff, and it just shows the security camera at the one place there, and the show has done a very good job of giving you clues without beating you over the head with them, and being like, there are X number of cameras here, I must check every single camera.
Yeah, I thought this episode was really well like executed, and like they did a good job of just like keeping you interested and invested in not only like this episode but like what's to come, and it wasn't like, you know, all over the place just trying to follow along. Like episode 1, I think for a lot of people, not me personally, but I think a lot of people, you could say like it was a lot to like digest and just to follow along with, where this one, it's a lot more straightforward and you kind of know the path that you're going on.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it a lot. I think it was really well done, and the show continues to do the damn thing and really, I think, elevate. Like I think what we mentioned a couple weeks ago when we said we were going to start watching this for the pod, like this is something that Peacock has kind of been like craving to have, and the type of content that I think we want from some of these lower level streaming platform services, and I think Peacock's, you know, hitting a home run right now.
Yep.
So the critical reception too, we tend to do this on a lot of episodes, but we haven't done it recently, but the AV Club, Solani Gajar from the AV Club gave this episode on their grading scale a B+, and wrote that she didn't expect to use her powers for this work, but here we are anyway. Poker Face begins with a luxurious pace as Charlie adapts to her surroundings, but it's a strong start. Our patience is well rewarded in these hour-long episodes. Think we couldn't say it better ourselves.
Yep.
So Christian, for episode 2 of Poker Face, what is your grade?
A very solid 8.
I like it. I think I'm going to give this one an 8.3. I liked it a lot. It was an easy, digestible episode, and you kind of, you know, followed along with the pace, and then, you know, there's that building off of episode 1 payout towards the end, which I liked as well. 'Cause I think for some of it, it was like, okay, when is the tie-in, you know, gonna follow up and everything, and then it hits you right at the end, so I liked that a lot. So I'm going to give it an 8.3. You give it an 8. That's 16.3 divided by 2, which is 8.15, which in our book rounds up to an 8.2 out of 10. And that is Poker Face episode 2.
Bam.
Bam. Christian, myself, and Dylan will let you guys know when we're back as a trio. Within the week. Life events. You guys know I work at the Unit Drama Club. We open our musical next Thursday, so some things are a little wonky, but we're making it work. But with that, we will sign off from this portion of the episode, and then we're going to get into everybody's favorite segment, which you'll see with myself and Dylan very shortly. Christian, we'll see you next week.
Peace, y'all.
And we're back, and it is time for...
Back.
It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer, Dylan's favorite beverage of choice when he's reading all the news and notes throughout the streaming platform Multiverse.
He's right.
If you guys are in Eastern Pennsylvania near the Philly area, you can go to Home Goods now and get Kenwood beer.
That's a
or you can
crazy
pick it up.
location.
It's
I love that.
crazy. Love it. You can also get it at your local liquor store in the Philadelphia area, or use the all-new and improved Kenny Tracker to see who's got Kenwood beer on tap in the Philadelphia
Kenny.
area. Make sure you're 21 or older. You got to be.
21.
And, of course, as always, please drink responsibly. But, Dylan, it is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania week. As we were sitting here recording, doing our break there, I ordered my ticket, so I'm going to see Ant-Man on Friday. That way we don't get any spoily-woilies anywhere.
Those are the worst. Don't be that person.
Terrible. Yeah, don't spoil movies, man. But I will be, I guess, watching Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp tonight to take that all in.
Hey, text me. I'll probably be sleeping, but text me your reactions or that.
To finish up my Marvel catch-up on that side of things, and then I'll just have to dive into the old Netflix shows outside of Daredevil. But what are your overall expectations going into Quantumania? I mean, I know there's some reviews out there already, and Christian got to see it early, and he wasn't that big of a fan. But I try to go in, objectively.
Socialist ants. That was the only thing.
Should we put that on a shirt?
I think so. So I'm not sure what that really means, but we'll find out when we see it, or anyone listening as well.
I try to go into every Marvel movie open-minded, because a lot of it is adapted from the comic books and everything, so they're using a script within a script to make all this stuff happen. And I think a lot of people who go and watch these movies forget that aspect of it. But overall, like, I'm ready for more Jonathan Majors. I'm excited to see how the recasting of Scott Lang's daughter for Cassie is, in this film. She's obviously recast from Endgame and Infinity War and everything. I don't know if she was in the other two Ant-Man movies, because I haven't seen them yet, everybody.
We'll find out soon enough.
I'm excited just for it. Feels like it's been so long since we've had any Marvel content. Like Black Panther Wakanda Forever was the last Marvel movie we got, which was in November. And, we're sitting here almost halfway through, pretty much halfway through February now. So it's been a while since we've had any true Marvel content. Like, obviously we got like the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special and stuff like that, but like we haven't had a show in forever, and we haven't had a movie since Black Panther. So I'm excited for just like to get back into the MCU.
Should be. No, I agree. I think it's good to see other characters come back in. He's a returning character. It's not like he's a first timer, a second timer, a third timer. He's had several of his own movies. He's had appearances in other movies. He's a pretty popular character in the comics as well. So this is, a very big return. To harp on what you said briefly, I am excited to see Jonathan Majors. I'm excited to see where this film, like what direction it takes, since this is the opening of Phase 5, so this is important. So I'm hoping that some of the reviews are maybe just a little too critical, a little too harsh. Maybe I'll disagree, hopefully, because, man, objectively speaking, if it really is relevant or accurate, the reviews, then what a bad way to start off Phase 5. So hopefully I feel differently. And as for what I think is going to happen, I haven't done too much digging. I honestly just sticking to my guns. When we talked about this before, I just honestly think that Paul Rudd's going to die, or Ant-Man's going to die. Now, plot twist, because it's going to get a little crazy. Is it our Ant-Man? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know. We'll find that out, but that's what I'm sticking with.
Yeah, and I mean, we got news today. Christian texted me this directly from discussing film. Secret Invasion and Loki Season 2 are the only definite Marvel shows that will release in 2023. Shows like Echo and Ironheart are unlikely to arrive in 2023, as Marvel aims to spread out its content and work more in post-production. It's a good and a bad thing, I think. It sucks because there's less, but I think it's good because it's probably going to mean a bump in quality versus quantity that we got in Phase 4.
Time. Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think it gives the people more time to CGI things. Gives them a lot of things, like more time to round off some like script, or if things have to be reshot, it gives them room to like actually reshoot it, not just rush. I was reading one of the things, or some of the scenes apparently in this Ant-Man movie, like not like there are scenes where actors actually aren't physically at the same location, and they just. So if that's true, I'm hoping someone's like dumb. That's true. That's a major turnoff for me because that just shows like what are you doing? Like this is a $1 billion franchise, and this movie probably cost at least $150 million to make. Like we can't get all the actors in the same room for you know what I mean? So,
To be fair, they did that with Doctor Strange with the Illuminati and everything. Like Elizabeth Olsen said, she was never on set at the same time as John Krasinski. But like you can kind of make sense of that and why that was. They're both extremely busy actors and everything.
True.
Plus, I think when they were filming that, it was like coming right out of the Pandy Randy. So there was probably, just stipulations and making sure everybody was healthy.
That's true, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to completely knock anything for that, but it's just something that I personally don't like. It's just
like there's ways you can work around it to make it, and I think the way they did Multiverse of Madness with that, like you would, unless you knew that news going in, you wouldn't have been able to tell.
Yeah, no, that's true. You had to actively be sitting there and not watching the movie, looking for something like that. Which is a good point.
I'm excited for Jonathan Majors, like I said.
That's the biggest thing for me.
He's going to be an absolute rock star.
I want a villain to fall in love with and not die.
Yes. I mean, I'm excited to see how the MCU portrays MODOK. That's going to be another huge aspect of this movie. Do I think MODOK
I will not be able to take a floating head seriously in live action. Sorry, not sorry.
Do I think MODOK survives? Who knows? But I'm excited to see the portrayal of MODOK because he's kind of like right up our humor alley in terms of character.
It is true. He is up there.
So I'm excited for that. And then I'm just intrigued to see what happens, post-credit scene, because I personally, hot take here, and maybe, unpopular opinion, I don't think our Ant-Man's going to die. I think if it is an Ant-Man that dies, it's going to be a different multiverse, because I think Paul Rudd is going to be, at least in the beginning stages, part of the West Coast Avengers. That's just a hot take spin zone that I have, because obviously it seems like they're building out the West Coast Avengers a ton with some of the recent movies we've gotten between Shang-Chi and then everything that's going to go down potentially with White Vision and that White Vision series that we're going to be getting in 2024. Yeah. So I think Ant-Man early stages is going to be part of the West Coast Avengers, so I don't know if Earth 616 Ant-Man is catching a stray, but potentially some of the, as Christian said, some of these other socialist ants may end up getting squished. But
the socialist ants won't all make it through.
Do you think the post-credit scenes will have anything to do with Secret Invasion or Loki season 2?
I think they might have to do with Loki just because of from a PR standpoint, Loki has been one of the best things they've released recently.
Loki moves the needle.
Loki does move the needle. I also think same like mindset. Tom Hiddleston, just the character Loki, is also really liked and loved in Marvel, like live action and comics. So makes a lot of sense. And the show is like I said, makes a lot of sense to indicate him somehow. Maybe it's him hopping around on our timeline somehow, or maybe it's him meeting Scott, because I don't think Scott's ever met Loki. I don't think so.
I don't know.
He doesn't understand one movies. It's not really a spoiler for you. There's no Loki in there.
Yeah.
So, maybe he gets introduced to him because Scott is kind of on the same wavelength in terms of like he's traveling through essentially time, but not really, like with the traveling through the quantum realm. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's kind of up Loki's alley. Like he might be like, "Whoa, dude, what are you doing here?" and talk to him. Who knows? I think you're on the right track. I would say if I was a betting man, I'd say Loki's like the safe prop bet for who would pop up in a trailer. Also, they might have 1 to 3 trailers. We don't know. Usually they have 2. So
we'll see what happens with that. I'm also excited to see Bill Murray's character, even though we know, some.
I keep forgetting he's in there, and then I keep seeing like little people talk about it, and I'm like, oh shit.
So we'll see what Bill Murray's doing in the MCU. But I'm
I
excited.
think he's just chilling.
I think anytime we get an MCU project, it's always that initial build up and excitement that comes around, and then you see what happens. I did look at the runtime; it's 2 hours and 5 minutes, according to our movie theater of choice. Which I'm not sure how I feel about that per se, but we'll see. How they fit the story in, and put together this trio of Ant-Man movies that we have once it is fully released on Friday for the people. What is your? I'm going to ask you this because we'll end up reviewing it in a couple months when it's out on Disney Plus. But what is your prediction for score?
I honestly think I'll end up giving it. This is it could be lower if people. I made like a 6.9, 7 out of 10 is probably what it's at, just because people that I personally follow on Twitter or TikTok that genuinely if they release 10 reviews or 10 whatever, I'll usually have the same mindset between 5 or 8 out of the 10. So the fact that quite a few of them are posting it, granted, make your own opinion, people. Goes for myself. But I would say 6.9 probably. That's probably the range I'll be in.
I'm going to give an initial guess of a 7.7.
All right, I like that.
So we'll see where we go from there. I will be releasing my Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp reviews in Instagram Shorts or YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. So follow us on Instagram and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll be able to see those, and I'll plug them in here once I watch them. But if you're going to see Ant-Man this weekend, let us know. We want to hear from you guys about it, your experience watching it. And go get your merch, phiapparel.co. Wear your Streamer Season merch to the movie theater. That is one of the biggest goals we have for our Streamer Season merch, is seeing you guys wear it out in the wild. So go get your merch at phiapparel.co.
Out in the wild? Make them sound like they're Pokemon.
I choose you.
In the tall grass, our fans with the hoodies on.
A wild fan appeared. Dun, 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 dun. But that's all we got for you guys this week. I know it's a little bit more condensed, but we'll be back at some point next week. We'll let you guys know, but that's why you got to follow us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Follow Christian at the Wiz_PHI. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And Dylan, say that line one more time for the people.
Leave those recommendations. We are finally getting a bunch. And it's great. We rather have too much, because if we have too much, then we'll have a stockpile of stuff to watch and content. But yeah, leave those recommendations of what show and or movie to watch. You can do it in YouTube comments. You can do it in reviews across the platforms.
Tweet us, DM us on Instagram or Twitter.
You can do all the above. Just do it. Just do it.
No free ads. Shout out to the swoosh. Just do it. But yeah, subscribe to the podcast feed. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of Streamer Season clips. That's where you'll get my Ant-Man reviews. We want to start doing that more on YouTube and Instagram and potentially TikTok if we decide to go on there. But who knows? We got to navigate the landscape. Yeah, that place is a scary place. But definitely YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. We're gonna do shorter form movie and show reviews for you guys in 2020. So follow us there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're at 387 subscribers on YouTube. Let's get to 400 by the end of the month. Come on, people. Come on through. And make sure you get your merch. phiapparel.co. Use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any and all merch orders. And this has been another episode of Streamer Season, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Dylan, for Christian, I'm KB. We're going to go avoid some big boy zombies. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.